Hello and welcome to Chess with Simon. I'm Simon. So I've been getting some sympathy in the chat about how late I've been doing these. It's only 7 minutes to 12 now. I'm doing it a bit earlier than usual. So life's busy. I always do a maths video first and then the chess video afterwards to wind down, which is lovely. Gareth, I want to play knight f3 for reasons I won't bore you with. It's a good move. I think Gareth plays things like the Benoni or the King's Indian. And I've got ideas about certainly how to avoid the Benoni. Horde coach. So, my plan here, I think you've got to take here on e7. And then when you take, I think you can't allow the bishop to stack itself for 2 pawns here. So you've got to stop that. So I think we play b4. But I'm going to mask my plan to take for now, although I'm sure my opponent can guess. Hitting the queen, as they say. This, well, actually, I want to push this. And then open the rook's file. I've also got a bit of a clever plan as well, which probably most of you can work out. This one, I also have secret plans and clever tricks, and I'm not going to say what they are. It might be really obvious. Rook a3. Nice position, interesting position, quite balanced. I think my knight has got access to some slightly more interesting squares on the king's side, and I think I've got a bit of pressure on the queen's side. There we go. That's my comment, and I'm sticking to it. This is a fascinating game, so I did a bit of analysis on this today against Stuart. I think I've got potential for a kingside attack here, but before I do, I'm going to take a rook, and I think that's going to put the bishop on a less good square. It's not a disaster, but it slightly misplaces the bishop, right? The rook can't take because you take the dark square bishop. And black can't take my dark square bishop because then you take the rook with check. It's pretty obvious. But there's excitement coming there on the king's side. This one against Keith, I had a big think about which rook. I think it's this rook. I'm going after this pawn. It's quite tricky to defend without letting other pawns drop. And also that king just looks a bit open, doesn't it? Like once the rook gets onto the 3rd rank or the 4th rank and starts checking, it could get a bit scary for black. Okay, here I think this is lazy of me, and I apologise for this, but I think I'm just going to take with check on f5. So the line, we talked about this on the previous video, but otherwise this pawn's dropping. You got to take. White takes. Then the move you'd worry about would be this, but luckily white has this sort of move, which then I think you've just got a winning endgame there. I mean, those pawns are so hard to stop. I mean, yeah, black does have pawns on the queen side, but those central pawns they're also just rather amusing. Anyway, I sacked the exchange last move. Basically, you're sacking the exchange for a pawn, but I think it's a winning endgame. We're going to find out, aren't we? We're going to find out. Check. Okay, this one with Nigel, I looked really hard at this. Of course I want to take here. So, I think the big problem is this, a move like this. Doesn't that just lose a piece? I mean, I don't know, this, and then I guess, see, takes. Looks like a piece to me. So I think we can't take that, much as I would love to. I think I've pushed the bishop into a slightly more passive position, although it's a bit unclear. So instead of taking the pawn, what I'm going to do, and collective groans from the viewers, is this. I'm just going to take away some of the pressure on the king's side, and then I'm going to claim I've got the 2 bishops and I've got a slightly better endgame. It's not bad, is it, that? Anyway, it's my idea. I think it's alright. Let's see what Nigel comes up with. This one, talk about collective groans. Mark's played this so well. It's like I thought I had a chance of drawing it, and this just dispels all of my illusions. So, well, I'm still going to fight to draw it, but this is a really good move. So it's a double purpose move. It reduces the attack on the bishop, which subsequently was attacking the rook and the pawn on g7, and then attacks my rook. And I think the only move to even pretend to stay in the game here is bishop g2, because the bishop's also attacked. So again, it's a dual purpose move, which is to defend the rook and get the bishop out of the attack. But I mean, all black needs to do is take, and I'm 2 exchanges down. Not many pawns left though, so you never know. And there are some nice squares for those minor pieces, but still, it's been a disaster really. This one, we're going to start liquidating the centre. You know, liquidate. Because as that kingside attack, to stop that kingside attack, you've just got to liquidate the centre quickly. I mean, actually, let's just see what will happen. So let's do it. So what if black just says, forget that, I'm pushing. Takes. Well, it's an exchange sacrifice, isn't it? Okay, that doesn't worry me. It doesn't worry me yet. So at the moment you can take it. Yeah. Yeah, you can. It's a bit of a race, frankly, but you can liquidate the centre, and I think still a pawn down, of course. Yes. Okay. This one, gosh, Horde Coach just played straight away, so quick. It may not surprise people to know I've got a bit of a bad feeling about this one. I mean, you know, I don't really like losing chess games. I mean, what about knight e5? Is that going to be fun? So let's have a look. So knight e5 hits the queen, defends f7, which is helpful. The queen's got to stay in touch with the bishop. Let's stay in touch. So it's like this. Then what do you do about this? Maybe you just take it and say fine. Can you just keep pursuing that queen? Is that a bit dangerous? It comes back to this theme of staying in touch with the bishop, right? Okay, I think this is at least a sort of semi-stabilising move, otherwise we're just going to get mullered. I mean, the only other ploy would be that. But actually, I think white can just take even. Just say, what have you got? And the answer is, we haven't got very much. Okay. You can't take here because you take the queen with check. Oh, you can take there. Yeah, Liam, take there. Take on d4, I'd love that. He won't, I don't think. Okay, this is interesting. You've got two choices here if you don't want to lose the rook. Here or here. What's the difference? Is there really a difference? Is white just going to take the rook anyway? Okay, we'll stay near to the queenside pawns because they need more care. Well, okay, we'll stay opposite the enemy king. We'll man mark the enemy king because I think to stop it entering. But I think we're going to see the rooks get swapped here. So Gary, so I've managed to think I'm winning this pawn, aren't I? Unless someone tells me differently. Then the queens are coming off. So it could go a bit like this, couldn't it? It could go, for instance, takes, hits the rook. Oh, there's no many squares for the rook. Not many squares, not many squares. It's quite tricky. This, I mean, you could take here with the bishop, right? I don't want to do that for some reason, though. I think I want to play the endgame. I think I'm attracted by the endgame for some reason. I think my king's a bit open. That's probably why. What could possibly? I think we've got to play the endgame, otherwise the rook's falling, right? There are no checks. There's the bishop check, which is fine. I think you just move the king. Bishop check's not a bad move, but you just move the king. Don't think it changes very much. Is this more horde coach? Oh, the queen's moved. Well, I can't get bogged down in that. This one, we're going to move away from the discover check. We don't want that. No, we're not doing horde coach. This is Justin. He's been kindly inquiring after my hours, which means he's been actually having a listen to the broadcast, which is lovely. Hi Justin, king b2, taking it away from your bishop. What's the situation? Both got two bishops. Black's got a bit more space. Yeah, Black's doing all well. Black's doing well. Yeah. Okay. Now, this one against Mozeko, we've got knight here. I think we just got to move the rook out of the line of fire, don't we? I assume we're going to see an exchange there. It's quite hard to defend, and well, it might be impossible to defend, isn't it? We're basically going to see an exchange. I could almost program it in, but I'm not going to do that because I like thinking about these things. Ian, talking of programming things in, I'm going to play pawn a4 here. It is the book move, and it makes so much sense, and the stats are so much better, and it stops b5, and I think I have played it in previous games. It's a good move. Yeah. This line's all about sort of stopping Black's ideas. It's sort of like, I don't want to play chess, I just want to stop you playing chess. No, Ian saw it coming. Okay, very good. Any more? I think there's at least another game with Ian, which is a Petrov. I got my tactics grade a bit higher today. It's my secret weapon. It's called concentrating. I occasionally do it. It can really helpful if you actually try. Okay, so this one against Ian. Did we say knight d7, did we? Not knight c6 then. What's so bad about knight c6? They castle. You play knight e5. You play h4. Whereas if you play knight d7, what happens? Knight d7. They castle. Oh, your knight goes to f6. It doesn't go to e5. It goes to live on f6, and that's better, is it? I suppose it's less swappable. c5, rook hu1. Bishop e6, getting all developed. King b1. Queen a5. c4, queen's off. Go to the press conference. Okay, very good. So we're going to say knight d7 with a view to moving to f6. Ian. Castle long. Ian's a professional. Okay, so I think that's it for that. We're now going to look at chess.com. So on chess.com, playing against Josh, lives up the road. We're going to develop a knight. Black's attacked the pawn chain from the head, not from the end, so he's ignored Nimzovic's advice. In fact, he's locked the pawn chain at the end, which is interesting. It's not a disaster, though. I think there's one game in that line historically, and it's a draw. So it's hardly a disaster. I mean, it's fine. This game's quite important, I think, because actually I'm thrown in the Southern Kingdoms 3. 87 can be. Look, this guy's 1-1 against someone who's graded much higher with a lovely fork at the end. So Fought the king and queen in correspondence. Good effort. I mean, we all make mistakes. I mean, it's just one of these things, right? But that's what happened. Roller pads. Just one queen move there. Hoping to snap the knight off, but unfortunately it did a bit of damage. Okay, so we're a pawn up here, and we're going to hang on to it. Should we put the knight in the centre, maybe? Knight in the centre? Maybe that's the right thing to do. See if we can force an exchange. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Nothing is the answer. This one, I think we're going to attack that pawn with the knight, and attacks 2 pawns. It's sort of roughly a fork, isn't it? Are we up? We're up a piece. Very good, very good. Probably with a better position as well, I would say. Here, we're going to block. I couldn't face this the other day, but now I can really face it. We're going to hit the queen, and we're also hitting the rook. We're up 2 pieces. Let's just show the world your chess skill. This is my own tourney. Yay, I won a game. 2 people qualify, so let's see who I qualify with. This is really interesting. So I'm in all these, this Rook's Rule thing, I'm in these endgame tournaments. How about this? Pile on the pressure, as they say. And I've got this sort of technique, which is that I'm developing my rooks up the A and H file. No one else is doing this. But it's giving me loads of pressure. I mean, here again, I probably won't get to play it, but I'm threatening Rook C3 takes B3. You know, and this guy's a pretty strong player. This Puffin is a pretty strong player. Here, I think there's a check here to win another pawn, which might be enough for a win. You never know. I think these are unrated. It doesn't really matter, does it? We will pretend not to care about rating, even though, of course, we do. Okay, here we're a pawn up. I think I've just got to sort of steady as she goes, isn't it? I mean, you could play the check here and then try to take that, or you could... I'll think about that. There's nothing too dramatic. Okay, I'm in this 4-pawn attack thing. 4-pawn attack book club. 86% complete. So, what do we play against the 4-pawn? I think probably play the main line, so we castle, right? Just castle, see what white's got. Castle, see what white's got. This one. Take the knight, take here and then take here. It's not silly, is it? Take here and then take on d4. This check's actually quite scary. I'm going to put the knight in the way. The question is, which square do I put the knight in the way on? I don't think it's an absolute panic, but one does have to be a bit careful, I think, probably. This is quite complicated. I think I'll be alright here, but I need to give it a bit of thought. 4-pawn castles, you play knight f3, don't you? And then I expect c5, but you never quite tell. There are other moves. Knight a6 is one, right? And then you just play a5. So here I'm going to try and pile up in the same way on this pawn and play h4. here, I think the strategy's worked. You just pile up here, and I think I'm not saying you're winning. It's quite hard to hold, though. How are they going to defend that pawn? Maybe you are winning that. c5, just play rook b5. I mean, don't want to help my opponent, but after this, maybe this is bad. Takes. Okay, fine. Good enough. Good enough. More for pawn. Bringing that knight out is such a natural move, isn't it? I mean, what else would you do? There are things you can do. I think there's a 6-pawn attack I learned when I was young. You can get the G and H pawns going, but I think that's probably a step too far. Don't know what to do about this. I'm not doing very well there. I think I'm alright here. I'm up a bit here. A queen, so you just chop a knight off. Okay. Just swap when you're that much up, right? Okay, but no knight will be complete. It is 12:15, but the knight would not be complete without a tactics puzzle. We do 1 or 2 every night. Okay, come on. Let's really do our good thinking here. So, knight c4 check. King has to go. I've got a good feeling about this. Knight c4 check. King has to go to b1. Don't know, not quite, is it? How about knight b3 double check? King has to go to b1. How about knight e4 check, followed by knight f2? That looks pretty juicy, doesn't it? Knight e4 check, king really has to go to b2. Knight f2, rook e1, take the rook, take the bishop. Can I get the knight out in the end? I'm not sure I can. Oh, I think I can. Don't think you can trap that. I think that's probably it, isn't it? You take here. Yeah. And then you fork. Yeah. And then you take. No! The bishop had to escape with check, look. I mustn't rush. If you try again, of course, the point is here. Yeah. Now you take. Okay. We're going to be humble now. We're not going to do another one out of pride. Oh, yes, we are. We're going to do another one out of pride. Come on. Let's do another one. Okay. This. Ooh, quite complicated. So what would bishop here mean? That would be quite intense, wouldn't it? But what would be really intense would be queen here check, king takes, bishop here check, king in the corner, rook to the back. Oh yeah, feels good. Everybody likes to end on a pretty checkmate. I think chess.com's doing us a favour, and we're not going to get psyched out by trying to get 2900. We're going to stop the video and say I hope everyone has a lovely time, and we'll see you all soon.